Hey, this is legendary strength coach Josh Sabra, and I'm here today to talk about probably the most important concept of coaching, fitness or otherwise, which is setting up your student in a place where they can only be successful. So, creating an environment, a setup, or a drill that makes it impossible for them to fail, and simultaneously fixes any movement problems and helps clean up their biomechanics to make it easier for them to achieve success both in that drill and in their long-term goal. So you can do this infinite ways, but today I'm going to break down how I do this with the squat, also just so that you can visualize, if you're a coach or if you're an athlete, how you can set up someone or yourself. You can create structure in your environment so that you can only be successful when you're doing a drill. So we'll think about this concept in terms of a squat. So a lot of times people start, they get a program and they do one of the basic exercises and it's a little bit painful. It doesn't, like a squat, a lot of people have, some back pain, maybe some knee pain. So I'll talk about how we can correct those deficiencies while we create the perfect squat. So if I'm dealing with an athlete and they're suffering back pain, they're doing squats and everything looks good, right? So they're nothing looks wrong with their squat when their loading is okay and they're under control, but they're getting a lot of back pain. What I'll do is I'll start by addressing their breathing. Now, a lot of people talk about rib flare, right? Like having too much arch in the back, having their rib cage pointed up, when someone's breathing or training. And you can correct rib flare with, stretches and drills and ab exercises. But because my philosophy is that rib flare comes from a breathing dysfunction, I teach that athlete how to breathe while they're doing other things. So we're going to breathe in conjunction with our training. Today we're going to use the squat. So if I'm trying to correct someone's breath, I'm going to cue them to breathe into the belly. So I want to see the belly expand while they train, right? When they inhale, they should be able to see some abdomen expansion there, some abdominal swelling. And when they exhale, it shouldn't go away. So they should have sort of a thickened abdominal cavity. But since we've got other things to worry about and you want to teach the athlete, you want to teach the person how to feel when they're breathing, you give them an object of kinesthetic awareness. In that case, I'm going to cinch up a belt over their belly button so that when they breathe in correctly, they feel pressure, right? So yoga strap works great for this. It can be a little bit elastic, can move with them. Doesn't matter. This is an old school one, doesn't move much. That's totally fine as well. So now, whenever I breathe correctly, I have biofeedback instantly that I'm doing it right. So what will happen is sometimes immediately, sometimes over the long haul, that back pain will go away while they're training. So oftentimes this will instantly correct a movement dysfunction because what will happen is instead of lifting with their rib cage up, they have to depress the rib cage. They have to create a neutral spine in order to properly feel that biofeedback. So what will happen is you're going to get a correct and perfect squat out of them without having to overcoach them, cue them, chest up, knees apart, doing all the things. So one biofeedback device, yoga strap around the belly. Now they're breathing correctly. They're going to less likely to have back pain while they're training. All right, let's talk about knee pain. A lot of people talk about, oh, squats hurt my knees. Well, maybe. Also, you've already screened them out of a knee injury. If you give them an object if you change the way that they squat, you say instead of saying squat to parallel or below parallel or whatever the goal is, you give them something to sit on. Say, okay, just sit on this. Oh, okay. Boom. And just because you've given them an object to reach for with their hips, now they're going to recruit their legs differently. And what will happen is they're going to be able to naturally stretch and open up their hips in a way that they wouldn't before when they were trying to do a perfect squat. And you don't even have to talk about knees over toes or angles or anything like that. Just give them something to reach for. And all of a sudden, that cleans up a lot of the movement patterns. Now, if I'm breathing into my belly and I'm squatting to the box, I'm already firing up those quads and glutes, and I'm getting all the benefits of the squat while I'm correcting that movement dysfunction. So Now, let's get to real inside baseball and let's work through posture in the squat. So if I want someone to have a picture perfect starting strength, 40-degree, sort of 30-degree angle on the foot, deep squat, below parallel, be able to get both arms in here. Well, if you try to teach somebody a low bar or a high bar back squat, you might have to do a lot of overcueing again. But if you simply give them an object to hold, right? Tell them to hold it under their chin and then sit to the box. Now all of a sudden, you're going to get 90% of that perfect posture without having to do any cueing. Boom. So I'll use a cue like try to touch your elbow to the inside of the femur. And what that will do is I'll have something I can feel as the athlete that also puts me in the correct and perfect position. So in this way, the cues are environmental and kinesthetic. They're not listening to the coach, they're listening to their body. So I'm helping the athlete develop trust in themselves, not trust in the coach. Yes, I'm always right. I'm always right about everything. This is my dojo and my domain. I have lots of expertise in this world, but I want to get the athlete to trust their body. So when they give me a report, their own biofeedback, they have context and they have a relationship with themselves, and they're giving me more accurate data. They're looking better, they're moving better, they're getting more confidence, more pride. They're able to execute all the drills to a high level of skill. I don't feel anxious about assigning them work. I don't feel anxious about assigning them volume because they know what success feels like. They don't need to know what it looks like. Of course, you can give them a video. That does help. Nice visual there, especially if they're a visual learner. However, it needs to become part of their nervous system, part of their DNA. They become the squat. They become the push-up. They become the athlete that they want to be so they can more easily execute their sport, more easily build muscle, more easily burn fat, more easily feel good so they can bring forth the warrior within.